Back on the show is the LFA lightweight champion. Robert Watley is going to be taking on Daryl Wilson this Friday at LFA 27 in the main event. Rob, how are you?
I'm doing well, James. I'm really excited about this. Starting the weight cut, so not the least fun part of the fight game, but I'm starting to get really excited, man. Did you happen to catch those fights last night?
I would not be an MMA fan or a journalist if I didn't catch the fights last night, man. What an incredible show that was. Now, seeing that, does that not pump you up for your fight on Friday? Seeing everything that transpired last night, that was one of the best cards I've ever seen in my life.
Hands down, dude. I was thinking, I was like, okay, that was the best card in a couple of years. Then I was really thought about it, and I was like, from start to finish, prelims to main event, that might have been the best card that I've ever seen. And heck yeah, when you see, especially for me, it's really endearing and motivating when you see maybe not the biggest name fighters get together and just ball out on a card and kind of show everybody, like, look, man, like Conor McGregor's cool, or Ronda Rousey's cool, but like we fight too. Like, we can still put on a show. So, man, let me just tell you, sleep didn't happen last night for me. I was up shadow boxing and like, oh, that's me in a week. So, man, I was super stoked by that card. That was awesome.
I was the same way. I didn't shadow box, but I had a hard time going to sleep last night just because when you watch a card like that, you're on such sort of an adrenaline high just from seeing all the action, and I can relate from that perspective. I wasn't keeping anyone awake with my shadow boxing, but either way, it was good. What was sort of your favorite moment from last night? There were so many, obviously the upsets with all the title fights. Was there one sort of moment that really stood out for you last night?
Well, I think I would say knocking out just to be able to beat Joanna, who is just phenomenal at her own game, and the poise with which she did it, and the way that she handled herself before, during, and after that fight. It was the epitome of what I believe a martial artist is. That was wonderful by Rose. And then GSP coming back after 4 years, dude.
Yeah,
that and that belt. And then the way that he presented himself after the fight, he apologized for almost cursing. And I was like, this is a role model. This is what the sport needs to see, is that there are good guys and there are dang good fighters too. So I think between Rose and GSP, that just had like such a feel-good moment for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And, of course, we're talking about UFC 217, in case anyone didn't pick up on that. But I imagine everyone who's watching this did see that awesome card. But let's get back to you. We talked about you winning the title last time. Of course, you're the LFA champ. Were there any offers from the UFC after that, or was it just, just kind of, did they tell you, hey, just defend the title, and then we'll kind of keep you in the loop?
Yeah, no, I actually heard that, oh, you won this fight against Moises, and Moises was, slated to be in the next UFC to get picked up if he gets a win. So everybody's thinking, I don't know, if he's stealing his shine or taking his spot or whatever. So I'm thinking maybe, Contender Series, maybe I'll get the call. But didn't hear anything. Hearing people want to see me finish and they want to see a little more aggression and stuff. So no, I haven't heard any calls, but that's cool because there's still things that I need to learn as a martial artist, as a man, and as a fighter. I'm the product, and I'm still learning to be able to like sell myself and be able to be marketable. So while some people may look at it as kind of a blower, I'm just like, it's just more time to perfect my craft and start doing the things I know I need to do before I get to the place that I need to be to start doing that.
I really like that attitude. I think that's sort of how you have to approach it at this point, and take advantage of the opportunity you do have. I mean, you're the main event of this card. Sometimes when you go to these bigger organizations, sometimes you get lost in the shuffle. So at least all the focus is going to be on you on Friday. So I think that's great. You got a tough opponent here in Darrell Wilson. He's got the 8-1 record, similar to yourself. How do you feel like you match up against him in this fight?
I think really well. I really want to commend LFA on continuously giving me a very vast variety of opponents. Moises, while he's well-rounded mixed martial artist, he was obviously a ground specialist. This guy is, I guess, what you would call a knockout artist. He's, one punch slept his last guy. He's finished his last 4 fights. The kid obviously has some, decent striking skills. So I think this is a matchup that it's going to push me as a martial artist and is really going to test to see if I'm still growing. So those are the matchups I want. I don't want any gimme matches. I want to fight. This is what I do. I fight for my career, and I want to be able to look back at the end of this career and say I gave it my all against the best that I could fight, and I have no regrets.
Who are some of the people that are helping you get ready for this fight as far as training partners?
Well, I always have like my usual stable of guys: Conquest, Royal Martial Arts, and Level Up Boxing. I've really kind of started really working with tall strikers. I have a lot of strikers out of my kickboxing boxing gym that I work with. And just trying to work with guys a weight class up to get used to dealing with somebody who's probably going to come in there a little bit heavier than me on fight night. He's pretty thin, but I mean, you can't discount the fact that guy's 6'1", 6'2", and I'm only 5'9", so he's going to be able to lean on me, and I need to make sure that I'm using my leverage when I'm in there with him.
You mentioned starting the weight cut. How's that process going? Do you sort of have it down to a science now, I imagine? You've been doing this for a while.
Look, man, if you would have asked me before my last fight, I would have told you I had it down to a science. But when you factor in like traveling to places and going to new environments, unless you've 100% prepared yourself for that, then you don't have it down to a science. And man, let me tell you, like I had to cut 13 pounds in one day for the weigh-ins for my last fight, and like almost killed myself. So I don't want to, jinx myself and say I have it down to a science, but I think I'm much further along this time around. And I think that it will be a much easier cut to 155 this time.
How do you see this fight ending on Friday?
I see this fight ending with one of our hands getting raised. But I will tell you, I'm not sure who's going to be victorious because I'm not, naive or foolish enough to think that I'm invincible. I think we're going to shake hands. We're going to embrace each other, and we are going to walk out of there friends and brothers for what we've experienced in that cage together. And I think everybody in the stands is going to be able to get their money's worth and appreciate the martial artist display that they saw. So I think that's how it's going to end, with everybody being satisfied.
If that's on a sales pitch, I don't know what is. That's really great. Before I let you go, I always ask the fighters this: what are you watching on TV right now? What's sort of getting you through camp as far as something to take your mind off, punching people in the face and defending your title?
Well, I love watching boxing. I really love the art of boxing. But man, did you catch the new Oh yes,
I haven't. Dude. I haven't actually. It's on my to-do list. But I'm hearing great things. I've talked to a couple different fighters, and they've just raved about it. So I'm imagining you've experienced the same thing.
Yeah, not to jump on the bandwagon, but dude, that show, it captivates me. I'm like torn because they only give you like 9 episodes, so I'm like, do I binge it or do I just like save an episode, watch one a week or something? But we tore right through it in like 2 days. It was yeah, dude, if you get the chance, check it out. That I watched Mindhunters. I really like psychology, thrillers. I like learning about the human mind and how it functions and stuff. So any shows like that, I really appreciate. Crime dramas. I like detective stuff.
Have you seen the Confession Tapes? That's on Netflix.
Is that Stephen Avery?
No, that's Making a Murderer. This one's different. This is a documentary series. I've been telling everyone about this. It's like a 5-part documentary series. Each episode's a different crime, and it's basically these people who have admitted to committing crimes, but clearly a lot of evidence shows they didn't actually do it. So it kind of goes through all these different murder investigations and showing how these people confess to a crime, and then they show you the evidence, and you kind of get the idea that they probably didn't do it. It's very fascinating, and if you get a chance, I recommend it.
No, I did. Yeah, I actually remember that. There was like the one where it was like they accused that gang of boys or whatever of doing. Okay, dude, that was incredibly fascinating.
Yeah, I know.
And they didn't come right out and say these guys didn't do it, but each episode like ended, and you were just like, dang.
Yeah, no, it really adds up. I mean, some of the evidence, right? Like where it's pointing, and some of the mistakes they make in the investigation, and it's crazy, man. But I'll tell you what isn't crazy. LFA 27. It's coming up here November 10th. It's live on Access TV. It's going to be a great fight. Rob, always a pleasure catching up with you, man. Just remind people where they can get a hold of you on social media, and if you got any sponsors or shout outs, the floor is yours.
All right. You can get me on Twitter at Robert Watley 89. You can get me on Instagram at Robert Watley. Sponsors, hit me up. I'm getting sponsors. I know Vaporfi's working with me, Venom's working with me. But I'm open, and this is what I do, and I need sponsorship. So if you want to sponsor me, and I'm here. So hit me up. And James, thank you so much for having me on, man. I really appreciate you. Always a great interview. Always lively. We always have some good vibes. So thanks for having me on, man.